So the boyo is back from his summer track from trekking the big old peninsula, putting some strain on his tibula and fibula. But hey, I'm not here to boast about walking the coast. I'm here to be your host and to give a toast to the Guiricast. Always a blast. A cross-country walk isn't a contrast. Our listeners are heroes, listening to tales of Spanish football zeros. But we're thrilled to give you all the lowdown about Malaga's latest football showdown, a game against Atletico B, where we got a winner at minute 93. An Einar header that was optimistic, a goal that didn't seem realistic, but the ball went in and we went ballistic. Next up, we go to Mallorca, and I think that we're gonna talk about how we want another Malaga corker. But first, before that preview hits our pod, let me introduce my Guiricast squad. I've got Nick Bell here, ding-a-ling-a-ling, and Malaga's praises he likes to sing-a-ling. That boy got more kits than a kit man, and now let me introduce another Guiricast hitman. Some would say he's our tall order, and Jack Harper, he's gonna lord ya. Alex Ashmore is in store on the bill, and undoubtedly he's going to talk about Yeovil. And last but not least, it's our Guiricast beast. His madness will make you crease. Malaga players, he will rate you, he will slate you, maybe compare you to a vibrator. It's Chrissy Marquez, of course. And that's the end of my Guiri team indoors. So let's go. Get into the show. The Guiricast on Sports Direct Radio. I hope today's show is not too shoddy, so I'll welcome you with good day, everybody. I'm Matt Harrison at last, and welcome to the Guiricast.
That was brilliant.
And that's the quality of host that you've been missing as well.
Well, that initially I thought I'll do something different. It started as a poem, and then I thought, no, this is sillier.
So when you turned your hat backwards, it became a rap.
I did think, should I don sunglasses as well? Yes. So I introduced you, Nick Bell, ding-a-ling-a-ling. How are you?
I'm ding-a-ling-ing good. I'm all right. Thank you. How are you, Matt? Welcome back. You've been missed.
Thank you very much. I thought I'd come back in with a rapping bang, which was fun. Don't expect that every week.
a man of many skills, it must be said.
There was
pleased to surprise me.
Yeah, there was Luke, who is not here today, sent us like a sheet of stats about our opponents this week, and I was like, how can I rhyme ding-a-ling-a-ling? So I was busier with proper prep. Alex Ashmore, how are you?
I'm good. To keep up with your little description of me, I'm buzzing after a Yeovil win against Weston-super-Mare last night, 3-2 away win.
Lovely stuff. That's all. And there you go. You've ticked off the Yeovil box for me already. And Chris Marquez, I saw you this weekend, but how are you?
I'm blown away by your rep. We have been doing this shit for 3 seasons now, and I don't know what I'm hearing.
Yeah, me neither.
I expected a lot of things, but not a rep.
I thought I'd give it a go. It's not something I've done before. I thought
no, but it was really nice.
All right, okay, thank you. Maybe I'll throw one in every now and then if we have a big win, but don't know.
Yes.
I was going to say it's quite a lot of work. Actually, it wasn't. It came quite quickly, weirdly. Maybe this is a career I've missed out on. Just quickly, I am going to hijack for 1 minute and just say I did reference I'm back from a long walk. I'm sort of wrapping up, plugging the donations now. But if you go to my Twitter at @MattLostBio, you can donate if you have followed me walking from Lisbon to Santiago and then across to France. We've got over 2,000 euros for RIFCOM. That's the last time I will plug it in the link. So,
but then you also have to explain what RIFCOM does, Matt. Because
RIFCOM. So basically, they work like the school I work at. They are probably the main charity. Like some of our students go over there and do charity projects, like setting up sort of. They do things like teaching kids how to, dental hygiene. I think last time they did things like set up a football tournament and things like that. Yeah, they just sort of help out in impoverished communities over there in the Rif Mountains in Morocco. And yeah, it's an area that was hit particularly badly by COVID with, obviously the health issues the COVID brought with it, but also like infrastructure. So it's hopefully it'll make a big difference. The second thing I want to bring up, which isn't as important as the work Riffcom does, but something I've noticed on the podcast you guys have done, and also me too, and it's something that I found jarring. We need to come up with what we're going to call this league, because I've noticed that we're all doing Primera, FA, and just FA all the time. So I think we should, from now on, call it Primera Federación. Are we happy with that?
No.
No?
Can we go with just Primera?
No,
No,
when
you can't go
saying
with
that as
Primera.
a top league, I noticed someone else saying that.
No, it's probably
You
me.
have to go with Primera RFF.
RFAF. Yeah, I can do it, but sort of in the midst of recording,
Mouthful.
especially when I was doing Vamos a la Rosaleda, crikey, I can barely say my name, let alone say four Spanish letters in a row. Whoa.
We do,
And the connotation of the REFEF is at an all-time low as well. So let's, disassociate maybe.
that's true, actually, yeah.
Okay.
Maybe we can just call it third division football.
Yeah, okay.
Or
Okay.
Malaga's league to lose.
Go with non-league.
Or El Pozo, the well, as I've heard it called colloquially.
Yeah.
Going down the well.
I like that.
Or the well if you want to stick with English. Anyway, coming down the well with us is a new signing. I think, when was the transfer deadline? Friday, wasn't it? It was just before our game against Atletico Madrid B. We, at the last moment, signed Manu Molina, who had been at Zaragoza last year. Has got a wealth of experience across the second division and, in particular, the third division. I got to be honest with you, I saw Sergio Pellicer describe him as a market opportunity, which
Yes.
didn't
I've
feel
also heard Sergio Pellicer say on Friday that he wasn't expecting anything and he was going to have dinner with his family and then go to sleep.
the transfer window doesn't stop for anyone. Well, it does.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, sure.
It stops
Whatever
him.
you're saying, man. Yeah.
He's back.
I bought 2 last week and they're still working.
Okay, I'll say it again. So I spoke to Chris about a little bit about Manu Molina on Saturday evening. So I'll start with you, Nick. What do you make of this signing? Is it just a market opportunity? Is it exciting?
I think with any transfer we've had this summer, none of us can pretend to know exactly who he is or what he does, based just looking at his CV. Maybe I think it's interesting that he's been promoted out of this division with Ibiza before. So again, experience is always handy. Pellicer alluded that we've got quite a young squad, so this is another older head. Probably not the one he wanted, but so on and so forth. And then I think Lorenz said, as far as the opportunity is concerned, he acts in a position in midfield, which means we can then advance our existing midfielders into attacking roles, which I assume means Danilo Rubia. Or David Larubia, sorry, into a more winger position. That's another one I keep messing up at the minute. I keep getting my Danny Lorenzos, my David Larubias, my Danny Larubias, my David Lorenzos all mixed up.
You're pretty good, though. I notice you do always correct yourself just as you think, oh, he's got it wrong. So
yeah,
that's fine. Like an auto correct. Alex, the other thing that's been mentioned with Manu Molina is that obviously we've got a young team. He is, more experienced, a little older. I think he's 31. I meant to check that. I think he's 31. Do you think the signing is good in that sense, or is that pointless?
That's ancient compared to Alex.
I think it ticks, 2 very important boxes: experience, but also experience at the level we're playing at. And I think that's vital for this league, especially. I do like a little excerpt of his Wikipedia page. Talks about his, introduction into his football career, and it says after completing his football grooming with RCD Español, and I thought it was an interesting term of phraseology to use, coming through the academy, or coming through.
Is this on the English Wikipedia page?
Yeah, this is on the English Wikipedia. So I don't know whether it's maybe been written by a Spanish person and translated in a literal way, because I've never heard that term in English before.
Yeah, that's yeah, definitely. Chris, any thoughts? You didn't strike me as being particularly overjoyed with this signing.
Well, it's not that we have signed Mbappe or Mo Salah. But yeah, I don't even. The problem I have is that we really don't need a midfielder. We need another striker and another centre back. We don't need a midfielder. So this whole transfer opportunity brings me back to last season and the season before and the season before that we are signing every interesting opportunity, because that's what they call them, opportunity, we can get. And we don't look at what we need. And what we need is a striker and a centre back. So that's my problem. He can be a good footballer, of course, but it's not the player we need. We need a striker and a centre back. And when you have signed another striker and another centre back, you start looking at what you, if there's anything interesting left at the market. But we are doing it the other way around, and that's what keeps happening at this club every season.
Yeah, I'm guessing there wasn't any market opportunities for those centre forwards or centre backs. And I guess the thing that is most exciting about, if there is anything about this signing, is I think what Nick said, that he was consistently playing in that Ibiza team, which went up. And I think he played a bit in Segunda, and that wasn't that long ago. That was, just after or just before the pandemic. So hopefully that, he and is another experienced voice in the change room. I'm not saying I'm absolutely overjoyed with the signing or, got my pulse racing, but
it doesn't make any sense, does it?
Well,
because will he play when you have Ramon?
I think he's a bit further forward than Ramon, though, isn't he? I think I'm not saying he's an attacker. I think if anything, he's going to push David Larrubia, but we'll talk about him a bit later.
Are you going to play David Larrubia from the side?
Well,
which is not his position. So you're moving David Larrubia up to a position which is not his, because you are missing a striker.
Yeah. Well, we've got Loren Zuniga, who we could perhaps talk about.
But Loren doesn't score.
I know. I was going to mention him, perhaps.
And we're going to talk about Diony later. I don't know why I keep my arms open, but Diony isn't really. What shall I say? Not what I have expected of Diony.
Okay, yeah, I'd sort of go with that, but like I said, we'll save Diony chat for the next part. Yes. Speaking of strikers, this mad story sort of appeared, I think, after Saturday night's game, but Coppa Malaga were reporting that Brescia in Italy had bid £800,000 for Roberto right at the end of their just before the transfer window closed. Thoughts, Nick?
I think my first question is where Brescia getting £800,000 from, because I know they're a club that aren't dripping with money. And my second thought would be how quickly could we get that fax machine working? Because I know he scored on the weekend, but nearly £1 million for Roberto. You've got to snap your hand off at that. And maybe it was too late in the window to replace him, but for me, that's too much of a good offer to turn down. If Alex Calvo at 1.5 million is too good to turn down, Roberto at 800 grand is definitely too good to turn down in my book. So 4D chess from Loren with this one. I'm a bit confused by it all.
I would have taken the week off to bring him.
You don't need to replace him if there's no player to replace.
Well, just think that we basically paid we cost us £800,000 for an opening goal against Atletico Madrid B, really. So
that's an expensive goal.
Yeah,
and trust me, but it will stay with that opening goal There won't be many other Roberto goals this season. He's not the player that scores you 20 or 30 goals.
Yeah, I sent an email out the other week, and I think I put in the wrong email. So maybe I sent my Roberto starting 11 when me and Nick did those predictions. Maybe I sent it to the Brescia scout team. And they've accidentally read this and gone, God, who's this lad? He scored against Atletico Madrid. Oh, dear.
Alex, one more time, can you tell the story about last year at the Football Content Awards where you were in Manchester and wanted to record something live in one of the two stadiums in Manchester, and the swap you did?
Was this the? I'm trying to remember. Was this? It wasn't your story about emailing Man City asking to record at Old Trafford, was it?
That was your story.
Yeah.
I thought that was you.
That.
No, you did that.
Yes. I remember that. Yeah. So
Yes.
I emailed I thought I was emailing Man United, and turns out I was emailing Man City and asked to do something at Old Trafford, and obviously they said maybe you should contact Man United for that one.
Yeah. So if Alex Kirkland is listening, you're going to get an A1 student here who knows what he's doing.
I should add as well, Brescia, obviously quite famous towards the end of his career. Roberto Baggio had like an absolutely unbelievable spell at Brescia. So maybe it was an ode to Roberto Baggio.
Roberto is the new Baggio.
Yeah, that's, sort of plays off the striker a bit. I can see the similarities, sort of. But yeah, it was a mad. I sort of thought, well, I probably wouldn't have sold him just before the transfer window closed. But when I saw the sum of money, I thought, whoa, that's mad.
Because the thing is, we're talking a lot about, obviously, the transfer window closing. But let's call a spade a spade. Every signing that we've made so far has been a free agent. So for us, the transfer window is completely irrelevant unless we're selling contracted players. So we could have sold him for 800 grand. I know he scored.
Ruben Castro is still there.
Yeah, we could have gone and got anyone with that kind of money after the window shut. So it's
well, I believe the transfer window in Saudi Arabia hasn't closed yet, so maybe Saudi Arabia will come in for Roberto. And
the thing is, I'm not really happy about this team because when I look at the matches, and yes, we won, but we don't look very good, do we?
Yeah, let's save that for the next section.
Yeah.
I think that's a chat for the next section. I'll just go through. I'll jump to the bigger story for the lesser one. Our sporting director Loren did a press conference today and answered quite a lot of questions about what's gone on in the last few weeks in regards to the transfer window. There was, I think, as we talked about on Saturday, Chris, that Pellicer sort of implied he wasn't happy with the sort of lack of money spent on the squad, and Loren sort of responded to that today, saying that the money we've accumulated from all these transfers is going to be used to help renew contracts of this sort of youthful team we're making. Which I think he did mention when we're in Segunda, which has
it makes really lot of sense because I definitely think players like Ramon and Haitam will play more seasons in Primera RFF. Well, they're too good for this league actually. So I don't know what players he will who want to renew their contracts basically, but they all came on a free transfer. They're all playing in front of 18,000 people. I think they're all happy that they found the club at the stage of their career.
Yeah, he did actually.
Honest. It isn't that we have big players that we want to renew a contract with, except Haitam and Ramon, who are too good to be in Segunda, but both because of their injuries are staying with Malaga, Primera RFF.
Yeah, he did mention quite a lot of their our young cohort like La Rubia and Lorenzo. I think you mentioned Musa as well. He did sort of give a bit of praise to Ramon and Haitam and said, look, they're like two new signings for us as well, which is the point. The other thing he talked about was Andres Caro, who obviously recently signed for Betis Deportivo on loan, but seems like with an option to buy, which sounds like it could pretty much happen. It seems like Caro had a clause in his contract which said that this season he should be like in the first team squad and promised to be there. And I think I don't know if it's Pellicer or a mix of Pellicer and the sporting director, they said, we want you playing with Atletico Malagueño and maybe training with the first team. And he didn't like that. So they said, okay, off you go. Well, I think he said, okay, off I go. So he's gone. Alex, any thoughts on what Loren was talking about today?
Yeah, I think it's always one of those sort of kind of feels like a political statement of, these are the promises and all that, and, trying to make explanations. I feel like, he makes the point of the eight players that run out of contract at the end of next summer, and needing money for that. But then also, if you have money and then you offer them contracts and they decline it because they got bigger offers, then you're still stuck in Primera and you're without 8 players and you haven't even signed anyone else. So, yeah, I think the option for the buy option that they put in the agreement for Andres Caro, ideally, in an ideal world, I wouldn't have wanted that. I think he's, will be a good player in the future. So, bit of a weird one, obviously, depending on whether Betis want to buy him. I know that is their B team, but yeah, I think not a lot of stuff to take from it that I think, oh yeah, that gives me confidence, or I'm assured that that's now going to happen, or he's thinking about this properly. I'm sort of not really bothered by it all, to be honest.
Yeah, I think actually I sort of, in an idealistic world, I sort of agreed with what he was saying. I thought, well, yeah, that all sounds good. And he kept talking about how good the team are. And like, again, we'll talk about this in the next bit. And I sort of agree, but, I don't have full certainty that this is the team that's going to take us up. And like you guys just said, if we don't go up, yeah, these players probably not going to want to sign another contract because they are good young players.
The longer the longer we stay in Primera RFF, the more difficult it will be to get out of it. And why? Because we now have money from several players. We got money for Christian. We got money for Calvo. There's money coming for the Horta money is probably coming. There's probably money coming for Ivan Jaime. So there's a lot of money incoming.
Yeah,
Keeping
and
that
there
money,
as well, and Dyer
Yeah.
and things like that. Yeah.
keeping all that money would mean that you're going to use it at the end of the day for other things. Or you will renew the contracts of the players that you want to renew yet next season, but you're not spending it next season either. So I agree with Pellicer when he says the money has to be on the pitch, because it's the Malaga's first team. It's not Atletico Malagueño. Look at the age of the Malaga players who are on the pitch, and look at other teams with the age of players they have.
Yeah.
Has the money
Definitely.
come in that quickly, though, do you reckon? Like, obviously,
Yeah.
it's being dragged out for Horta. Jaime's only just happened, and that will probably get dragged out as well. And even for Calvo and Christian with their clauses, it's probably put into, repayments rather than that, as all Spanish clubs do. So we say we've got quite a lot of money coming in, but if you're only getting like £100,000 at a time, you've got to make that stretch out. And as much as it would be great to go out and sign a player for even £100,000-200,000, it doesn't.
But we still have the CFC money as well, right?
Yeah, well, I think that's going on the training ground, though, isn't it? That's the problem. Or maybe that's where the rest of the money's going. It seems to be like
I had a quick look at the training ground when I went past on the bus, and it didn't look like that much had changed since before the summer. But
there's news about the training ground. It will take longer to finish because they have problems with the grass.
Oh.
which is quite sort of, I appreciate it's a climate that isn't friendly to grass, but this is also the Costa del Golf. If there's one place where there's experts on how to grow good grass, and
Yes, and there's always the option for artificial grasses.
Yeah, well, the grass
experts in growing
quite
grass.
well, doesn't it?
Yeah. Just quickly then, guys, I don't know if there's anything we want to say about it. Altani's tweeting again. The countdown's going to start soon. I don't know if he's into Europe, the band, but I don't know what the countdown is. I thought it might be the countdown to me coming back, and he's been ticking away.
It's
I'm back,
like, it's like having our own little Donald Trump, isn't it? Making tweets and not actually doing anything.
Yeah, and arguing with the mayor on Twitter.
Yeah,
you could be Donald Trump's Qatari brother.
maybe. I mean, it's just having experienced it probably too much following football. Like, owners using Twitter, I don't think it's a good idea in any way. I think, just get on with what you're doing. If you're going to do something, do it. Don't make an announcement like that. It's unnecessary. And to be honest, I won't believe anything he says until it actually happens. So,
yes. Well, he's going
to take it. If it happens, I still don't believe it. So
I wouldn't trust him to tell me what the weather is if he's outside.
Well, that's your job, to be fair.
Yeah, come on, Alex. Yeah.
Apparently lovely up in Norfolk, about 28 degrees.
Yeah.
Hot. No, but I don't know. I think it's been obviously put in the Telegram group today that people just want to start trolling him online, and maybe to counter the person that we all know with the Lions. Maybe we could superimpose Altani and Photoshop him onto actual countdown and just put that underneath.
No, I want to stay away from that subject as far as we can.
Him sat next to Jimmy Carr.
I'll put that in the WhatsApp group later. Just Altani sat with Nick Hewer.
There's lots of talk of countdown, and if you go to his TikTok, there's lots of lions, which
and Mo Salah.
And Mo Salah. He switched it up a bit today. Anyway, we'll go from crazy owners to a quite crazy end to a game this past Saturday night. So let's go and talk about that game where Malaga defeated Atletico Madrid B. Okay, so there was a famous football pundit named William Shakespeare once said, to be team or not to be team. And we've always been quite not to be team on this, but I don't know if your minds have changed by taking points off these kids coming to La Rosaleda. Yes, Malaga 2, Atletico Madrid B 1, last-minute winner, which we'll talk about the game in a second. Chris Marquez, I'm going to come to you first, though. There was 18,000 fans at La Rosaleda. Incredible effort for a third division team. I think there was was it 5 or 6 stadiums in Spain this weekend that had bigger attendances? Were we the 6th? Or I can't remember. But anyway, amazing turnout. But it was your first game with your season ticket.
Yes, I loved it.
Yes, it was good, wasn't it?
I wouldn't say it was the best match or the best preview or the best anything.
No.
But it's fun having finally my season ticket after being 25 years a Malaga fan. So that was wonderful to hold my season ticket for the first time because someone else picked it up and it was magic.
Were you wearing a white shirt?
He was.
I was, yes.
He had, we were...
Who have you supported for the other 30 years of your life, Chris?
Sorry?
Who have you supported for the other 30 years of your life?
Thank you for watching. This was the Guiricast. We'll be back next week without Nick.
Luke
he's going on a long holiday.
Sorry, Chris.
I should say, Chris, we're in a very nice-looking Alessi t-shirt, actually.
Yes.
So, yeah.
It was the only white shirt I could find. But they wanted to create a white wall at Fondo Sur. And when I see back the pictures, it really would look nice, the white wall.
And I believe they're going to pick a different color each week, aren't they? I think that's what I've heard.
I don't know because I am in the group WhatsApp of Fondo Sur. And it's still a bit quiet. So...
Okay, right.
So I would think that would be quite a rambunctious group chat to be in. But the fact you say it's quite quiet surprises me, Chris.
Well, I suppose the sort of thing with ultras, and I'm not saying everyone in the Fondo Sur's an ultra, but they keep a low profile and then sort of spring it all on match day, don't they? So I suppose. Yeah. Anyway.
Maybe if you all dress up like Ultra, you won't see who the Ultras are. I don't know.
Today's
wild
surprise,
guess.
you wear a yellow T-shirt.
Yes.
Yeah. They sent out a message this week, though, because there were still a lot of people sitting in Fondosur. And that's in the house rules that it's not allowed. No food is allowed. Sitting is not allowed.
No food?
No.
Why not?
Because you have to...
well, in crazy places like Colombia, this is going
because,
in
because you support and sing and stand the whole match.
Yeah, I think the Ultras in Colombia.
Those are the rules. And in some way, I think they're right, because when you get a season ticket at Fondosur, you know where you're going to, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know the place you're getting into, and they say you get a season ticket at a reduced price because you're in the how do you call it, animation zone.
Yeah, exactly. You're there to play a bigger part maybe than other people in the stadium.
Yes.
I guess. So you're getting a discount. Yeah, it's for my travels around Central European football, I'm well versed in all. I think the scariest set I was pretty much read, like I ended up one time, and it's probably for a different podcast, I did go in the Ultras end at Red Star Belgrade I was invited in with a man who told me he was an actor but turned out to be a porn star.
Technically an actor though, isn't it?
Yeah. It was only later in the night. Yeah.
You can be an actor and a porn star, man.
Yeah, of course. Well, he told me he was an actor, and then when I told my friend who'd introduced me to him, I said, "Oh, he's a nice guy. He's an actor." He started laughing and said, "He's an actor, but he's a porn star." So I watched, and yeah, I had to take my.
You watched some of his footage or not?
No, when I say I had to take my top off, by the way, I should say that's nothing to do with the porn star bit. I just realised.
Matt Harrison in porn film, Google.
There probably is some sort of Red Star sort of.
No,
joke.
Matt, stop it! You're making it worse.
Anyway, let's talk about the Malaga starting 11. There was quite a few changes actually. Changes I thought were good changes, obviously. So we had the three youngsters coming in: Dani Lorenzo, David Larrubia, and of course Kevin. And coming in at centre back was Monte for Juande. Alex, I think I can't remember which one of you last week spoke about maybe PSA was protecting the younger players in quite a tough place like Castellon. It might have even been Luke, actually. Do you think this was a good move now, throwing the youngsters into, a buoyant La Rosaleda?
Yeah, I think also if in any game you are going to, get them started, I feel like against a typically younger team like a B team where they're not going to get the kicked out of them, I feel like, it is a good thing because, there's nothing worse than putting a youngster in and then some big 6'4" defender comes in and breaks their legs with the first tackle. So I think, to give them that confidence, also playing in front of 18,000 people is brilliant, gives you confidence. But I imagine as a young player who, these guys have played a little bit, but, used to playing in front of maybe a couple hundred people, to go in front of playing that many people is quite daunting. So, I think it was probably the right time. And, I think they've got to slowly get used to it because hopefully those, looking at David Larrubia and Dani Lorenzo especially, are going to be key players for us this season.
Yeah. Nick, Alex said it could be daunting. Do you think the young trio, I know the two Alex outlined in particular there, Dani Lorenzo and David Larrubia, did they look daunted?
Absolutely not. It's like they were made for it more than anything. I think, we've got to remember these two guys went on loan to Merida last season as well. So they've got experience at this level, which, is vital. But coming to that match, they looked very comfortable. And as Chris said before, a level above for me as well. So I was happy to see them start because even in the Castellon game as well, they looked great when they were brought on there too. So more of that, please, Sergio, because I think that's the only way you're going to be successful in this league with those kind of exciting players.
Yeah, Chris, you were in the stadium with me. Do you feel perhaps having those young local lads on add something to the atmosphere, maybe?
I don't think that it adds something extra to the atmosphere.
Okay.
Them being young, but I do think that they bring something exciting over them. That is what I do believe.
Yes. We mentioned the 3 youngsters there. We might talk about him a bit later, but was there any sort of surprises with Monte coming in for Juande? Because I've seen quite a good swap to me.
Yeah, absolutely. I think his performance in the second half again against Castellón, when you put Einar and Monte together, you'd think they've been playing for a whole season. They made their errors, don't get me wrong, but by far, as a pairing, they were a lot better than Einar and Juande. And whether this was just taking Juande out of the firing line a little bit, I'm not too sure. But I think you're looking at your main centre-back pairing for the season, because they just both look so assured, and obviously playing at higher levels elsewhere is benefiting us that way.
Yeah, it hurts seeing Juande struggle that much in his career. This season, last season.
Yeah, maybe it's the real sort of kick up the backside he needs to up his game. I don't know. Now he's got someone that's really going to challenge him for that centre-back spot, because, we've got rid of Andres Caro, so, there's one less defender to compete with. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. We made a good start to the game. We should add that. It was quite a energetic start, and I think it might have been Dione almost sort of he hit the side netting. And then in the 9th minute, the man that Brescia were determined was going to be their new Roberto Baggio scored the opener. David Larrubia assist. I don't know. Is there much to say about the goal? It was quite a
great interception.
In what way? Oh, David Larrubia, sorry.
Yeah, great interception of David Larrubia.
Yeah, definitely.
I think he deserves all the credit for this goal. 70% of the credits for David Larrubia, and then 30 for Roberto for the finish.
Yeah, it was, it was in front of goal, but he has missed those before, and he composed himself and put it in the corner. Good sort of joyous celebration, Alex, as well.
Yeah, no, I think, it'll do the world of good for his confidence. Maybe last week against Castellón, if he was presented with that opportunity, he probably would have put it, straight at the keeper. I think he did well, actually, because it wasn't exactly straight to him or in front of him. He had to sort of turn back a bit and then he got a lot of power on the shot as well. So, no, I imagine he was delighted with it. And, just confirming why I put him in my predicted 11. I knew he was a gem of a player. I could see the talent. It was just that confidence up.
To be honest with you as well, you said he was a bit behind him. They did look like the defender was maybe just about to get a toe on him, and that didn't seem to put him off. He seemed to just, focus and put it in the corner. Nick, but then I think we were very much on top. We talked about how sort of solid our defenses looked. Atleti B's goal was quite straightforward, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was kind of like their real first flash of a chance in the game. It's just a shame that it happened so close after our opening goal as well, because we really were building momentum. And I think, again, if we were on top for a lot longer, then we could have finished the first half with more than one goal. Maybe a hat-trick for Roberto, potentially. I'm not too sure, but it's history repeating itself, unfortunately. And I really hope, and I like Herrero, I really do, but this parry back into danger, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
Shame on Herrero.
Yeah, shame on Herrero, because it was just, here you go, on a plate, and a simple, completely avoidable equaliser as well.
Yeah, there was it was a little bit, not just the deflection back to the attacker, but the sort of defender's response. I think it was Monte was sort of just standing there thinking, oh, he saved it, and didn't really bothered to defend. I know it happened very fast. I'm not really blaming him, but it looked the same as the goal against Castellano, almost the way the defenders were caught out by it too. And there was, I think it was Joaquin, sort of kicked the ball into the attacker, didn't he? He didn't really clear it. Chris,
I'm not really confident yet about Herrero. I'm not calling him Herrero Rocher yet.
Okay, because I know. I suppose the issue there is we don't really have. I don't know. Do we know much about the backup goalies? I know they're young.
Carlos from Atletico Malagueño is the backup goalie.
Yeah, but I mean, like, do we know if he's good?
He's brilliant.
Am I the one, if I'm not mistaken, came through with Danny Strindholm? Was he in the same team?
Yeah.
I remember Danny talking about.
He took over Danny Strindholm at Atletico Malagueño when he got injured on his finger. But Carlos is a great goalkeeper.
Okay.
I think he's shown how good he is, but I think it is a genuine concern from everyone that he might come in and be absolutely fantastic, but he's not as a experienced goalkeeper like when Yanez came in last season. And Yanez could have been absolutely, terrible when he came in to replace Manolo Reina. Doesn't take much to, succeed the latter, but it does worry me that if anything happens to Herrero, like we saw him get knocked unconscious last weekend, that our substitute goalkeeper or a second goalkeeper is a very, very young man with not a lot of experience at this level. And again, we're talking about centre-backs and strikers that we need. I'm really surprised we didn't go in for another goalkeeper. Just anyone.
Yeah, me too. Just even someone that was happy to be a second choice. I actually like him so far, but I agree that this sort of happening twice in a row is a bit. I quite like. He seems to have some sort of presence about him, which I quite like, and hopefully he'll find his.
Yeah, but Manolo Reina also had presence.
Find his feet, find his hands. I don't know. What do you say for a goalie? Finds his hands in goals. I'm gonna just throw it out there now. I was gonna ask about like the first half performance overall. I'm gonna mention two players that we've not talked about so far. First of all, I'll bring up and actually this doesn't have to be first half. This can be the whole game if you want. Dione, you said earlier that he's not what you expected. You brought it up, Chris, so I'll come to you. What did you expect and what are you seeing?
What I did expect and what am I seeing? I expect more than what I'm seeing.
Okay.
That's what I'm going to reply on this answer, because I think we don't look that good. We started off well, but after the Atletico Madrid goal, we completely lost it.
I still thought we played good. And again, I'll come to Alex and Nick in a second. Because I don't know. I guess I was in the stadium, and then I'll come to ask you guys what it looked like on TV. But because I think I did the ratings this week, and maybe I did them with still the sort of buzz of that win, in my ears, and I sort of that was the one that I sort of was on the 6 or 7 with, and a few people said, "Oh, you've been kind there," but in the stadium, you can see. He runs around like the front three, but I think in a good way. I watched him quite a lot. I think his positioning is really good. I think the problem is that he's playing with Roberto and they're sort of leaving the number 9 spot a bit empty at times. And I think that's why we struggled to get the goal, because I think David Larrubia was sort of looking and being like, oh, there's not really an opening there. And so I really like the fact that he can float about, but I think he needs to know when. But because, as we've said before, he has got a great goal scoring record at this level, and I want to see a bit more of that. He almost scored towards the start of the game, didn't he? And that was some good play. So I think there's a good player in there. But I do agree. I did expect him to perhaps be a little bit more static. But
I'm going to be honest. He frustrated me in the first half, and definitely in the second half. I was really done with him because it was horrible to watch. And I'm not saying it's his mistake. I think there are two more players who have important play in his horrible attacking, which are Kevin and La Rubia, who totally get the pace out of the match, the both of them. It's horrible to watch.
What do you mean, get the pace out of the match? Well, what's horrible to watch?
It's horrible to watch Kevin doing his 20 moves and then finding another player. You have to keep the pace in the match.
Okay. Well, that's the
biggest problem of this Malaga.
Okay. Well, I'm going to come back to Kevin, unsurprisingly, but I'll stick with Dione for now. I don't know what you guys made of him on the very popular live stream you did, by the way.
I had a little look at his positioning just before we came on because I knew we were going to be talking about Dione. I don't think he serves himself well by being out on the right so much. I know he says he can play as a winger, but I don't think that's where he's had success as a striker before. He looks to me like a good centre forward, maybe in sort of like a bit of a Harry Kane mold. He clearly likes to wander about and drop deep, but he's ultimately a centre forward who scores goals. So is that him having to accommodate Roberto because Roberto can't go out onto the right? Or is it just a lack of options out there? Because I know we've got Hernandez and La Rubia can play up there, but Pacer clearly wants to have the best of everything. So for me to get the best out of Dione, I'd like him to play centrally. I'd like him to be up top and to be served, essentially. But we've not seen that so far. We've only seen him start out on the right. And I don't think that's his position, unfortunately.
Yeah. Alex, would you go along with that?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think, I appreciate what you said about him sort of being able to float across the top line. But I agree with Nick. I think he's that sort of striker. He has a little bit of pace, but I don't think he's one to run onto balls. I think ball at his feet, turn around and shoot. I feel like, he needs to be the focal point. Like, I think it was I can't remember who said it, but sort of, La Rubia turning around and looking to pass. I think it was you, Matt, and then seeing that nobody's there. I feel like he needs to be there constantly, even if it's not to turn and shoot, it's to play it off again for La Rubia to then play it wide and put a cross in for him. I feel like he needs to be in the middle, making the defenders, either stretching the defense by sort of, pulling them out or pushing them together. I just think he needs to be that focal point of the attack. Otherwise, he just gets a bit lost, really.
Yeah, because dare I say, when Hightown returns to full fitness and he goes out on the right-hand side, then if it's a straight throw up between Dione and Roberto, you're going to go with Dione. So again, maybe that's a part of it that we're just having to play players out of position at the minute because of our circumstances. But, you don't have a prize-winning horse and then attach it to a cart, do you? You put him in the race. And at the minute... And again, Roberto does the same thing. Roberto's a bit of a floater as well, isn't he?
Yeah,
he doesn't stick to position. And he kept dropping deep. And sometimes he was stood next to Kevin. And you're like, get away from each other. Go and do something else. And, he had a good game, but that's the bit where we're falling short. We can have all this creativity and this engine and this, lovely football with the youngsters. But if you've got nobody stood in front of that goalkeeper who's ready to put him on his arse, then it's pointless.
You sounded so much like my year 8 football teacher there, Nick, where you sort of stood by the sidelines chatting to your mates and you're like, go on, just leave each other alone. Go and run about.
Yeah. Just move away from each other.
Yeah, I sort of thought about this as the sort of, I guess probably when Kevin went off and I sort of thought, I can't remember who came on for him now. But I thought, we have played nice football. And like you said, it was sort of nice and everyone moving around and quite dynamic.
Was it Sangali who came on the pitch for him?
Yeah, Sangali did come on, didn't he? But the sort of, when I sort of reflected on it about a few minutes later, I was a bit like, David La Rubia is having the game of his life, but why are we 1-1? And then sort of thinking, because we are circling the ball around the attackers and they're moving nicely. But that's the issue. That's why I wanted to bring him up. I just wanted to see if that was the same conclusion. And just because I haven't had to talk about him for ages, guys, I'm not going to say he changed the game or anything like that. But I would like to ask about Kevin, because obviously I'm blinkered here. But even this performance seemed to be quite divisive, even with myself, because I think I said to you guys when you were recording at halftime, I had Carl next to me who was saying how great Kevin was, and I was like, well, I think he's playing okay, but is certainly the first half. He seemed to be getting in the way of Victor Garcia quite a lot. Victor Garcia made some lovely runs down the left wing, but you could sort of see him. He's like, no, Kev, I want you running there, and I want to pass to you down there. And he kept sort of standing in this weird place. I noticed it loads of times. And then a bit like Chris said, he'd get the ball, and because he was in this weird place, he'd sort of keep the ball, but not really take us forward. He got much better as the game went on, I thought. And
yes, but still getting a lot of pace out of the match every time he started up an attack.
Yeah, but I think,
if you see the when Atletico Madrid was attacking, they had a lot of pace in their attacks. It was all really quick, and shoot bang. And with Kevin, it's a throw here, it's a movement there, it's another getting the ball back. It's too much.
I'd agree with that for maybe the first half of the first half, but I think he did realize that he did get in a bit more. And yes, again, I think the only reason that not much was created was because there was no one to aim at again. And I do think he improved, but I still think he should.
You know what my football coach used to say when I was young?
God, I don't want to talk about your football coach again, but go on. I had a similar experience on the weekend, but we won't talk about that again. I had to do a bit of editing on the Vamos a la Rosaleda episode because of that.
Was it with me?
No, it wasn't you. It was anyway.
I already want to say I didn't have that many beers.
You spoke fine.
I went to a football match on my wife's birthday. That's a whole different story.
Well, what did your football coach say, Chris?
He told me when I was young, Chris, you're not quicker than a ball. If you get the ball, when they play the ball to you, the only thing you do is pass the ball to the next guy. That's all. And he said that to me, and he said it to all my teammates. He said, nobody is faster than a ball.
When you get the ball,
pass it.
That's the second line in the coaching manual, to be fair, that everyone goes to. And there's always that you've got to kick the ball and make them run after it and type thing. So he's absolutely spot on, to be fair. But to give Kevin his credit, I think you're right, Matt. In the first half, he stayed too far out wide. And that's why he was getting sort of Victor Garcia's way, sort of like stood in the wrong place looking for it, where actually you want Kevin in that position as an inverted winger, driving towards the box. And if there's no one to cross to, then have a shot yourself. You know, that's what he wants Kevin to do from the left. He clearly wants Dione to do from the right. So I think that what was lacking for him in the first half. He just wasn't taking that opportunity to take a run at people, which, you know, we certainly saw him do against Cathy on the week before when he came on. But he did start to do that more and more as the second half progressed. And obviously the result of that was he got fouled a lot. And
oh God, yeah, I forgot all about that. Oh my word, that was amazing.
The problem I have with Kevin, and it's not the problem I have, I think I found this problem.
Go on.
I really found it. And you will laugh when I say it. You
know, like his mustache. Do you know, like his fringe?
No, listen. He's a great footballer.
Oh, the calves.
No, he's a great footballer.
Great calves.
But
against Ari, no.
He doesn't know anything about football. He doesn't know where to walk. He doesn't understand football. He doesn't understand.
Well, yeah, that's sort of what I was.
He doesn't know where he has to walk, for example. He doesn't know what he has to do. He knows his position because he can look at the board before the game and see, oh, okay, let me check. This is left. This is right.
This I would agree with is a weakness in his game. I will agree.
This is up. This is down. So
key stage one match. from Chris.
He knows his position, but he doesn't know what to do, where to walk, or I think that's the main problem. Is, to be honest.
I think
He
it
needs
is
your
a
coach,
weakness.
Sorry.
He needs your coach, Chris, from when you were a kid.
No.
Well,
My coach was drinking beer on the side next to the sideline. So.
Oh, him and Kevin might get on.
You've got to look at a performance at the sum of its parts, and as much as, like you say, he looked a little lost in the first half. Praise him for some of his efforts so far. I think what Pellicer is trying to do with his attackers and these youngsters is the high press, and Kevin, especially in the last 2 games, has been pressing like a madman. And David Larubia the same. That opening goal was won back from that high press interception. So they're doing that well, which I like to see.
But to be honest, I think Pellicer took the whole break and told the guys, "Okay, guys, do your thing, do what you want to do, play some music, text your wives, watch the Guiricast. Kevin, you come with me."
Yeah, that's
Kevin,
good. Fine.
When you have the ball, you there. When you don't have the ball, you here.
Your Spanish accent for.
I
Maybe he's trying to practice his English after watching the live at half time.
No, but I really think that Kevin doesn't really understand football very well.
No, I think you've just said, like, it wouldn't surprise me if Pellicer spoke to him at half time and he listened and he came out and he was. I think he was great. Actually, I think he was getting better and better as the second half went on. And like I said, he absolutely skinned those 2 defenders and he got wiped out. So, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, we've talked. Dare I say, I think we talked on Kevin enough there, which I didn't think I'd say.
I think we need to sign a coach just for Kevin, who is the whole match going, "Kevin, no, a meter to the left. Kevin, come.
Do you mean
Kevin,
someone
come.
to follow him? Like, have you seen Lionel Messi's bodyguard at the side of the pitch into Miami? Someone like him just to follow him down the
just for Kevin. Just to tell him where to walk, what to do.
Okay, right. I'll just reel through some other bits that happened before we get to the exciting bit at the end, and you can maybe talk about any of these if you want. Herrero made a really quite important save, I think, just for the sending off. Not like absolutely, breathtaking save, but was important. Then Atleti B went down to 10 men when Esane got a second yellow card for sort of handoff on Larubia, which did look like a yellow. I've only watched it back once, but I think fair enough. Big shout out to Cordero, who was 16-year-old, made his debut. Can give him an honourable mention maybe at the end. But let's just get to the exciting bit. In the 93rd minute, we got a corner. Einar Galilea stepped up or jumped up to header it, and the ball was suddenly in the net. So I'm gonna try this. Alex, can you say the Einar's surname for me?
I would go Galilea.
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 Galilea Magnificoooo.
I feel like that actually could be a chant. Like,
put it out there, guys.
Chris, get it in the Fondo.
No.
I'd
love
to look down and see the Fondo Sewer air guitar into being.
This was horrible. I just didn't want to let down Matt. But I really didn't want to say Galileo.
Galilea.
That was so musically inclined.
I'm so full of shame at this moment.
I've got a GCSE in music. I can get my guitar if you want.
I feel horrible. Can you play it?
Money. I probably could do the dun 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 dun. I'd have to learn it, but anyway, we scored 93rd minute. Nick, joyous scenes on the live stream. Joyous scenes in La Rosaleda. Did you guys take a bit of time to realize it had gone in like us?
I didn't, because I was I was there like, oh, I've got to change the graphic now. I've got to add in the second goal.
Okay.
Yeah, Alex was busy. Me and Luke saw it, but it was like in slow motion. It was like, oh has it? Has that happened? And I think because the goalkeeper, the way he was like stood and positioned, it looked like he'd frozen in time as well. Yeah. But when you saw that ripple in the back of the net and everyone just wheeled away in jubilation, that was the bit where we were like, a golazzo! And,
well, yeah, because I was like, again, I took ages to celebrate. I was like looking at Carl and my pal Ryan. I was like, is that in? Is that in? And then I was like, there's no VAR.
I was very close. But I have to say the goal looked better in the stadium than it looked on TV because you have goalkeepers and you have goalkeepers.
Well,
I mean, let's be honest. That should have never gone in.
Yeah, I will say you've referenced your sort of your childhood football quite a lot, Chris, on tonight's episode. That did look like when you see really young kids playing football and they sort of take their time to walk over to try and save it and just sort of fall. It was yeah. Yes. I hope Alejandro Iturbe has a great career after this, but much love to him for that night.
I don't think he's going to be replacing Oblak in the Copa del Rey this season.
No, I think he is safe. Yeah, lovely way to finish. We should say as well, there was a bit of a sort of, not like it was in those first few weeks under Jose Alberto Lopez, but the players did come over and sort of clap. I saw Pellicer say in his press conference, energía nueva a la afición, sort of new, how are these trying, like new energy with the fans, which I still think there's a while to go there, but
I think it was a bit ridiculous after the match they played to come to them to come over.
No, score a last minute winner. You've got to have fun with that.
It doesn't make sense because if they, let's say, in a very negative situation, I'm not saying it will happen, but you lose the next 5 games, and then everybody will hate the players again.
Okay.
Was it not nice to see
too early at the season to? Sorry,
I liked it
in the celebrations. Like, you know, we've seen goals being scored before, early on last year, things like that. I've never seen the group of players come together like they did. You know, you had people running off the substitutes bench, for crying out loud, going in to join in the celebrations. It may seem over the top for the second game of the season against the B team, but that shows to me there is a good vibe in the group at the minute.
I would say Chris said that Kevin doesn't know where to be, but when it comes to celebrations, he is.
Yes, he's very good at celebrating. Celebration is.
He's a mastermind.
Yeah, they should give celebration points on FIFA.
Right, because we've talked about it a lot. Let's go Chumbo and Biznaga, and if there's anything else you want to add, guys, you can add in this. So, Chumbo first. Alex Ashmore, I'll start with you.
It's actually, I'm sort of umming and ahhing between. I never like giving chumbos when we don't play, or sorry, when we win. But I think this is more just of a case of he didn't play particularly badly, but just didn't see him a lot. And I know he's better than what he played, but I'm going to go with Joaquin. I feel like didn't really see a whole lot of him. He didn't do anything negative in my eyes. I feel like he was, solid as a defender, but maybe would like to see him pushing up that right-hand side a little bit more.
Yeah, I was going to pick him as well. Purely, I probably changed my mind this evening when I saw he sort of made the mistake, or the big mistake, for the first goal. I think more than Herrero, he gave the ball away, and yeah, I think I think that's harsh. I think he was fine otherwise, so I'll pick him too. Nick?
I could have got Herrero because of the error, but then he did make some good saves as well. So,
Nick.
I was looking at Joaquin, and he was going to be a sort of a dishonourable mention. Dione as well, potentially, just for general quietness. But I'm going to go with Herrero. I know he obviously made some good saves to make up for it, but, twice in a row says it all. Hopefully a chumbo from Nick Bell means he's going to have a long, hard look in the mirror ahead of the game this weekend and get his shit together, really.
You can hear the screen go black and white, and Simon and Garfunkel play in the background, staring at us.
He's the one I changed from, by the way. He was the one I did consider. The other one I almost considered was Loren, actually, because I thought he was non-existent when he came on, but I thought it was a bit harsh. Chris, final chumbo.
Herrero.
Okay, there you go.
I have to be hard with him. You cannot make these mistakes every week.
Okay.
2 out of 2. That's a jumbo. And I think he deserves it after 2 matches. Because these things can cost you points.
Okay. Right. Let's not battle through, because I'm very excited. Let's hurry on to Biznaga. This is, I don't know if it'll get easier than this for me this season. So I'll say there was 2 people, but Danny Lorenzo was fantastic, but I thought David Larrubia was just a joy to watch. I thought Danny Lorenzo is perhaps going to be more important for us this season. I thought he was exceptional, but David Larrubia was just so much more fun to watch, and he looked full of confidence, and he is brilliant and a brilliant footballer, and I'm excited to watch more of him. Alex?
I'm sort of, I think the midfield played really well. I think Canaro was solid. Didn't really see much of him, but I guess in a good way. So, he held the midfield together really well. But I think I'm going to go, it's hard, between Nelson and Einar. I think both of them at the back, apart from the Atleti goal, I feel like, solid as a rock. And I feel like that could be our partnership for the season. Part of me would love to see Juande there, but I just think those 2 are better. So I'm going to go with Einar Galilea. I think just the goal, the cherry on top, really.
I won't do it again. I will say just quick, we need to mention as well, just really quickly, Monte's celebration.
Oh, yeah.
Where I thought he was going to pole dance on the pole at one point. But
I've seen all this Marcus say, Malaga has a new hooligan.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
I thought it. I really didn't see the logic in it, or I found it a bit wrong.
Yeah.
Just enjoy the raw, unadulterated celebration. But that's what I thought he scored, because the way he acted, he looked like he'd scored. So
Nick, Biznaga.
For me, it's got to be Robert. No, no, not that drunk. I agree with everyone who's been mentioned. Gennaro for me again played well. This redemption arc he's on is brilliant to see. Danny Lorenzo, I can't wait to see him playing alongside Ramon. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. But I agree with you, Matt. David Larrubia for me just looked unplayable throughout large parts of this match. Very exciting. High energy, and winning that ball back for the assist for the goal, excellent as well.
Okay, and finally, Chris Marquez, on your first game as a season ticket holder at La Rosaleda, who was your man?
It's hard, and I still have doubts, because I'm a sucker for this.
Go on.
If players do that, they are becoming my favorite player really fast. But David Larrubia, because the way he played and the interception, I think he deserves it more than celebration.
For those listening on Spotify, Chris is doing the Nelson Monte celebration.
Yeah, I'm doing a Nelson Monte.
Wait, the full Monte.
Yeah.
Save, put that in the episode titles for when he scores a last-minute header. Right then, guys, we do have another game coming up this weekend. I think I quoted in my rap, we're going to Mallorca. I can't even remember how I rhymed it, to talk ya about a corker. Cue the music, Nick. Okay, so I think we talked about how important it was to go into this game with 3 points on board after not winning our first game and, coming close to not getting 3 points in the last game. But we go to the islands to play Atletico Baeleres. In their first game, they drew 1-1 with Algeciras, and they scored a quite late equaliser in that. And they came very close to getting a point away at the Bifa in their last game. But former Malaga attacker Alex Gallard with a very late penalty. So they've had a okay start to things. I don't know if you guys have sort of any sort of background knowledge on Atletico Baeleres before I go random.
Chris, didn't you have a little research before?
Am I going to steal Matt's one?
If it's Matt's, then let Matt have it. But
No, it was.
I thought it as well, but I'll give it to Matt.
Okay, I don't know, the Zisco thing. I think we always mention how do you say Zisco? Zisco. Can never do it. Zisco.
Like Cisco from the dun.
Yeah, that's because he played.
Remember that song?
Yeah, of course, yeah. I think we've done this joke before because I think we talked about him every single time we played Alcorcon and someone else. Some Newcastle fans may remember him. There's a couple of other cool players though. There's I can never say his name because we played his brother at Tenerife, Shashoa, the guy that was at Spurs. We playing his brother Armando, who's amazing because he can play for. I don't think he's picked a nationality yet, but he can play for either England, America, Egypt, or Venezuela. Now that's cool.
Wow.
Yeah, that's quite a mix. Do you want me just to throw my random stuff at you before we talk about Malik?
Go on, please.
Well, for the people interested, they have a lovely history. Their history is insane. It's about 15 pages long.
Okay.
But they're quite a historical team.
Yeah. They spent most of their time in the sort of third and fourth tier. They've got David Rodriguez, who's 37 now, who's scored a lot of goals across Spain's lower league. But also, some Brighton fans might remember him from that sort of spell when Brighton tried to do a Swansea and buy lots of Spanish players, and he played for them a couple of times. I think maybe 10, 12 times. There was someone else I was going to mention. Christian Ziege managed them once, which was sort of the real, the Wikipedia wormhole. I got stuck down looking at Christian Ziege for a bit. And also, I spent last night, it was quite funny because that poor Luke Chambers did send us a lovely document, didn't he? And I forgot to put it on my list here. So, Luke was more professional than me. I just watched have you watched the Once in a Lifetime Derby by Copper 90?
I've seen, I think I've seen the Lower Mallorca one. Is that the one?
Yeah. It's about basically they Mallorca play Atletico Baeleres for the first time in like 40 years, and they call it the Once in a Lifetime Derby, and it's really good. But you saw Atletico Baeleres, the sort of vibe I get from that derby is they're quite a brutal club. They come from this brutal stadium which got like condemned, and I think they've only moved back in recently. But there's I said this is a bit of a derby for me because I'm a Swansea fan supporting Malaga, but in that documentary, there's a massive Cardiff City fan, and he's got like a flag with a Cardiff City badge on it. He's got a proper Cardiff accent, quite a sort of middle-aged, looks a bit hooligan-y, but I don't know. I don't want to label him like that, but he looks quite tough. So this is a Geary derby for me, and me against the Mallorca Cardiff guy, if he's still there. I don't know. I think the Copper 90 things from a few years ago. But my favourite fact I've learned is, do you know about San Mosh's link to Atletico Baeleres?
No.
Yep.
This is around there?
Sort of. You're on the right track. Whoever, apparently Mallorca, I should say this is 4 years ago. I don't know if this is still true, but even if it was 4 years ago, it's cool. Mallorca don't actually own San Mosh. And apparently, whoever the team in the higher league gets the stadium. And apparently, 5 years ago, Atletico Baeleres almost overtook them. And I thought that was quite cool.
That's
like
cool.
they were literally like if
that
something
can't
like
be right now though.
Do you know the stipulations of if they're in the same league?
No, I think they were in the same league.
Mallorca got relegated twice, didn't they?
And I think Baeleres got to the playoffs, and essentially they were playing that if we win, we steal our rival's stadium, which I just thought was brilliant.
Okay, guys, shall we get into the serious notes
Okay.
I have on? No, I'm stealing.
Yeah, I was, to be honest with you, I was sort of trying to gesture to someone because my phone's on charge over there, and I was hoping someone else would get the serious stuff.
Their head coach is Tati Garcia. Plays a tight defense way, not overly attacking. Likely to play a more 4-5-1 instead of a 4-3-3. They're currently 17th after a home draw against with Algeciras and the 92 penalty loss away to Ibiza.
See, I said that serious bit.
Yes, that was good of you. Then about Cisco, he says had an unsuccessful time at Newcastle where he costed 7 million.
From Deportivo.
He has over 400 career appearances, 150s goals, but not prolific in recent years.
Do we know where he won his most trophies?
No, do you know that? Did he win trophies?
He won a load of trophies in Thailand before he came back.
Oh, yes, I knew that. I read about it.
I think
and
I
it's
knew
Dioni's old team, guys. You should have known this. It's Dioni's old team.
It's what?
That's
Yeah. Sorry, I've got that in my notes too.
Yes. So Malaga's traveling to Estadio Balear, which has a capacity of 6,000. Only one stand open.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Only one stand was open in the first home match against Algeciras. So their following is not very big.
Yeah, as definitely, if you want 15 minutes tonight or whenever you're listening to this, definitely go watch the Copper 90 thing. You do get a feel for the club, and that derby is really good. But we mentioned like Dioni's. First of all, thank you, Luke, for putting that together.
Yes.
I mean, sorry, Chris, that was clearly all you.
I really spend a lot of time in it. The nice thing I like about them is they started many years ago as a working class team of a company, I believe. It was not only the company people who played for the team, but there were also a few other people who working class people who played for the team. So that's where it started, and then it has a big history towards where it is today.
It must be difficult to be a two-club city in a place that's got such a, in the grand scheme of things, quite a small population. You know, I think it's only.
You have to watch your words now, because I think our friend in Mallorca is listening to this podcast, so you have to be really careful what you're saying, Nick.
No,
I think Nick was going to say
against Mallorca, but like when you've got a rival of that size in a city which is quite small, you know, I think it's only 40,000 more people than the population of Blackpool, for example, if you want a really niche reference. So it must be difficult for them to thrive when they've got a team in La Liga playing a few streets away.
But I think they're more of a working class team, and maybe I don't know.
It's quite funny on the Copper 90 documentary. They're the Cardiff Baleares fan. Like at the start, they talk about like how football is so big in Mallorca, and it's just like a sort of talking head moment where he goes, "Mallorca's a bit like Brazil," and that's all he says.
Well, that's the question, for that particular person from Mallorca. Why Mallorca not?
I can tell you, he answers it because he goes on holiday to Mallorca with his mate, and it's just after Cardiff have turned red, and he says, "Let's go watch Mallorca." And he said, "No, I'm not going to watch a team in red." And they say, "Well, there's another club that wear blue." And he says, "That's my club then." And he lives there now, I guess.
Wow.
So
I like that.
Speaking of clubs in blue, let's like some quick bits.
It doesn't make sense.
He's back.
It doesn't make any sense.
What doesn't make sense?
I'm not going to support a team in red.
Yeah, because I get it. Because Cardiff, as a Swansea fan that knows Cardiff fans, the whole switching from blue to red was a very emotional time. So I guess the idea of the color red then, although obviously our national team wear red, was quite emotive.
It's a color, and I understand that it hurts, but it's a different club in a different country.
Well, if you want to fight him, Chris, you can.
No, I don't want to fight anyone.
We'll get on the phone to the UFC and we'll book that fight for the next week.
No, I'm not strong enough.
Because
I have feelings. A lot of feelings.
Anyway, Malaga, just one or two things quickly on them before we wrap this up then. So I guess the main question to ask on this then, I'll come to you, Nick, is we've obviously seen two slightly different Malaga teams. We've seen a sort of more, I guess, being quite lazy here, a tougher Malaga team with more sort of grit in midfield. And we've seen the youthful team at La Rosaleda, which won. Do you think we go with one or the other or mix it a bit? Is there anyone you'd like to see come in?
I think on his old turf, I'd like, as I mentioned before, to see Deone go centrally, maybe bring in Hernandez, because again, I don't think he's done too much wrong when he's played. So, he could be a good option. But I think Pace has got to persevere with using this young, exciting team rather than thinking, I'm going to go to Mallorca and set up to absorb whatever Baeleres can throw at me like it did with Castellón. It's a different prospect. They're clearly not as powerful, if I'd like a word to use. They've drawn their opening game. They've pushed Ibiza to a late winner. I think this should be a game that Pace is looking at going, we've got to come back on that playing with 3 points, play the youngsters and be exciting.
Otherwise, make them get the boat back.
Yes, that should be a good punishment.
I bet it's quite a nice boat ride, actually.
I don't agree with you, Nick.
No.
Because I think...
Usually don't agree with me at night when I'm about to go to bed as well, which is always...
yours, Chris Marquez.
That's why this thing is working, the Guiricast. Well, we do agree sometimes.
Yes, yeah, sometimes.
We agreed on the weekend, I remember, Chris. We were quite surprised.
We agreed.
Yeah.
I think there will be a very tough match for Malaga because, as Luke said, they will play a 4-5-1 rather than a 4-3-3. I think we have a lot of trouble finding the goal. So I think it will be a very tough match. I don't think we can expect much from them. But I don't see Malaga scoring very easy there.
No, and I agree with you a little bit on that, to be fair, because they're going to set up to stifle us. But if we go there and play the team, say, like played against Castellón, especially in the first half, just two sides coming together with not much going on. You know what I mean? They'll just bore each other off the pitch. Whereas at least if we play, David Larrubia, Kevin, your Lorenzo's, maybe Deone centrally, then at least we can try and break them down and look good whilst doing it. But I think that's more indicative of what people think of us as well, which is quite a nice compliment. We've not had that for a while, is that people are going to set up to frustrate us because we are Malaga coming to town and they would rather not concede rather than take us out. Do you know what I mean?
Alex, anything to add on? Do you want to shout at either of them that you disagree?
No. I think, the old phrase goes, if it isn't broken, don't fix it. I feel like keep it the same. We played relatively well against Atleti B. I don't see why we can't keep a similar team for Atletico Baeleres. I think more importantly, is this going to be the first game we see the away kit in use? No, my bad.
I disagree.
I don't know where that came from. I just
might see the line kit.
Do you know why? I think because we lost, I've sort of erased it from my memory, and it feels like
so you've forgotten the last 3 years, basically.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
We might see the lemon and lime kit, like
maybe. I hope not, but maybe.
They play blue, so we can't wear a home kit. Obviously, the purple might clash a little bit with the.
Actually, you might be right there. To be honest with you, blue and white stripes. be honest with you, it's growing on me, the lime shirt. I sort of said to Carl on the weekend, it's one of those ones, if I went in there one day and I'd had 2 or 3 beers and it was 30 euros, I'd probably buy it.
Or you could be like Luke Chambers and just buy it for 60 quid with no sponsor on it and then bring it on the live stream and said, that was the one I went with. I was like, oh, God, Luke.
It's horrendous. It's the most ugly thing I've ever seen. The only beautiful thing on it is the badge. Those colors, it doesn't work. It's pink with 2 sets of lime.
Yep.
I saw it in the shop the other day, and it really does hurt my eyes. I have to put on my sunglasses. It's so horrible.
Should have added that in the. Should have added in the news that the new club shop's open. It's tidy,
quite nice. I was looking at it and I was trying to think of what's the inspiration here. Where's this come from? And then my wife interjected and she said, "It looks like a Twister lolly." You know them Twister lollies?
It does. That's a good point.
To be honest,
lollies.
I studied graphic designer for graphic designer last year.
Ooh.
Yeah. No, but you have a whole thing. You have to learn about colors and mixing them and using colors together.
Well, I've got a GCSE in music. I'm being petulant now. Okay. It all sounds good, guys. As you know, last time I did this podcast, I was bringing out the doom scale for 5 months. I don't think we're at that level yet, which is good to hear. So we'll start wrapping things up. I'll just
remember the Excel de la Salvation.
Oh yeah,
bring it back. God, what a big one for the season.
Matt, every time you say something about where we're going to end or what your prediction is about the season, or you start talking about playoffs, we go the wrong way.
Okay, I'm not saying anything. You've listened to my spiels. I just want it to be fun, is all I keep saying. And I'll be honest with you, so far, I am having fun. I'm having a lovely time.
Maybe what we could do is everyone say where we think we're going to finish at the Guiricast end of season awards. We look back at this episode and, whoever.
Yeah, but then we have to ask Luke as well.
That's true.
Yeah. Maybe 2 home games, 2 away games in might be a better way to judge that.
Yes.
And I'm saying playoffs and okay, just quickly. I don't know if you've decided on this. Is there a live stream on Sunday?
I'm going to try. A, depends how hungover I am, because obviously it's an 11 o'clock UK time kickoff, and obviously dinner time in Spain. And 2, it depends whether Mrs. Bell, with me being out all Saturday, lets me, or not lets me, but like green light.
I'm not sure either.
Yeah,
I'm going to try as well.
But should be fast.
You guys are obviously you're not going on your mat.
You look great.
I don't know. Yeah, I might go to the Peña bar. Otherwise,
it's early in the morning. The Peña bar won't be open at that time. And you know they will be open.
I get WhatsApps off all the time.
But you know that you're not going there.
You come to the live stream.
Yeah.
Imagine the pool we would have.
Well, you'll have to teach me how to get it on my. How to watch it anyway.
It's like this.
I mean, watch the game.
Oh, you need FVF TV.
I will work all that out. Nice bit of advertising there for them too. Right. Let's wrap this thing up. Just as I wrap this thing open. More zings like this to come. That was literally off the cuff. Anyway, thank you, Alex Ashmore.
Thank you very much. Good to have you back, Matt. And vamos Malaga.
Good to be back. Thank you, Nick Bell.
Thank you, Matt. Cheers to the rap. I'm going to be singing that in my head tonight when I go to sleep.
I will send you the lyrics. And thank you, Chris Marquez.
Thank you. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and join our Telegram group. And vamos Malaga.
Yes, do all the things Chris Marquez just said. And thank you for listening to the Guiricast. I've been Matt Harrison. We will see you soon. Adios. Vamos Malaga.